of Field the Draft. I'm your host, John Serenitas, and now I'm joined by former Wildcats tight end Kyle Lepkowski. Kyle, how are you this evening?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for taking the time, man. Greatly appreciate it. And obviously, a strong contingent of Wildcats are in position to either get drafted in this year's draft or sign as free agents. And I kind of want to start there before we go into your football journey, Kyle. How cool is that to see the number of guys that you guys have that were at the Holy Cross Pro Day on March 21st? How cool is it to see you and your teammates, so many of your teammates, have an opportunity to potentially play in the NFL?
I think it's really awesome. I think it just shows how much, like, how hard everybody works within the team. We had a big class with COVID giving everybody an extra year, and I think it was really important for guys to, have that extra year, show what they can do, and make sure that they put their best foot forward when they want to move to the next level. I mean, you saw with Osh and Randall, we trained at the same place, so it was honestly just kind of like home still. Like we were just training with the same guys, so I enjoyed the whole process a lot.
And obviously, in order to get to this point, you need a lot of support, family support. Takes a lot of hard work. You don't just get here strictly on talent, although that's a big part of it. But let's start with your football journey. Talk about when you started playing football, your high school career, and how you ended up at UNH.
Yeah, so I'm from Maryland originally, so little far from UNH, but I started playing when I was real young. In the we called it the mini Titans because that was we fed into the high school, but it really started in the backyard with my dad. He would just throw the ball. He'd throw until his shoulder was sore, but I would just run routes for him, and it's kind of funny. A lot of people get put into the tight end position. It's not their first, but it kind of seemed like that was just the role I was, you know, born to play, kind of, because I just started as a tight end. In the early ages, you play every position, but it just seemed like I was made to play tight end. And then I played in the feeder school, or yeah, the feeder program to the high school, and then once we got to high school, you know I played JV as a freshman, then I went to varsity as a sophomore, played tight end, some D end, but it was just it just seemed like tight end was just my position. High school I would be able to be split out a little more in the X and Z position, but tight end is just kind of what position I've played my whole life, so I think it's kind of cool.
And you get the opportunity to play at UNH. Talk about that, and why did you make the decision to attend UNH and play football?
I think the biggest reason was on my visit. So I went up January of 2018, and I didn't get many offers until later in my senior year. I think I got my first one after my sixth game senior year. I'm pretty sure, but I went up on a visit in January, and it was just me and my mom, and we just kind of fell in love with the place. It was during their winter break, so there wasn't too much to do, but I really got to meet a lot of the guys, and it was kind of funny because when you go up on winter break, you think like a college campus is everybody's home, but you saw how many football guys were still up there and still working out with the team and being around each other. I found that really, comforting, knowing that being 9 hours away, that sometimes I won't be able to go home, and I'll be able to, still spend holidays and stuff like with guys from around the country. So
And obviously, you get a chance to play for Coach Mack and eventually for Coach Santos. You also get a chance to play in an offense, which is a very player friendly system, both for quarterbacks and skill guys. You had a terrific career at UNH. How much of that versatility and playing in a system like this, where you got the targets, you got the touches, how much did that help put you in the position that you're in now?
I think that helped a lot. I mean, that's pretty much 100% of it. We have a good quarterback that can spread the ball around, so it's hard to game plan for one guy. We have Lobby, who, he's going to get his touches, but you can't game plan that guy. He's going to do what he does. But I think it's just a testament to how Max is, like, prepares and is able to spread the ball around, so they can't just key on one guy in the pass game. And then our coordinators set us up to win. We practice and we drill everything during practice, any scenario. So I think it's just preparation. We're all ready for the game once it comes, and nothing's new.
And how much did you like playing for Coach Santos the last couple of years? Obviously, He played UNH legend, played at Bellingham High School here in Massachusetts. Um, he's got a swagger to him. He's got an edge to him. He's not a guy that will take crap from anyone, and you kind of see that in the makeup of your coaching staff and your team. I feel like you guys take on that persona.
Yeah, I think that's true. I just think that Coach Santos kind of takes the core values of Coach Mack, who also would defend his players to the death. I think that the way that we carry ourselves is very important. We talk about that. It gets drilled into our head, but how we represent ourselves, the school, it's a representation of what they, feel is important to the program. So I think that it's not as much swagger or cockiness. I think a lot of it's just confidence, and we believe in what we can do.
And obviously you wrapped up your career at UNH, and now you have the opportunity that I'm sure you, like many others, dreamed about since you were a kid. How cool is it to now be going through this process and positioning yourself to potentially play in the NFL?
It's kind of it's kind of surreal, coming from you know smaller school in Maryland, public school, going 9 hours away. I kind of had no idea what to expect, and then playing through COVID and playing through some adversity, 3-8 season, and then turning it around and being able to actually win. I didn't win too much in high school, but we were able to get the job done. But yeah, it's just I don't think I've grasped the whole scenario yet because we're just kind of flying through it. But I've enjoyed the whole thing.
Which brings me to my next question. How has the pre-draft process gone for you since the end of the season? Uh, what have you done to prepare for the draft? Where were you working out? And have you had an opportunity to talk to any coaches or scouts along the way that can give you some feedback?
So like Osh mentioned before, I was watching the stream, but me, him, and Randall all trained at the same place with Dana Barry, who I've heard when I was looking for places to train, I only heard good things from. And our quarterbacks coach, Coach Belcher, Drew Belcher, he actually trained with him. And he gave him high praise, so he was actually really helpful through this process. And I just enjoyed putting my head down and kind of just working. It was definitely a grind, but it's just something you got to enjoy. You find the fun things in life, and then of course knowing a couple people there helped because you're spending the next couple months with these guys, so you better make some friends.
And obviously all of that culminated in your pro day workout on March 21st at Holy Cross. How would you assess your performance that day, and how much did that day help you beyond the workout? How much did it help you being around NFL scouts? It was 30 of 32 teams there. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of pressure in preparing and going through that, but there's also a lot that can be learned from that experience.
Yeah, very true. So going through the process, the nerves start to build up about a week out. And then once you get there, it's kind of like a game. You're always nervous before the game, but after the first snap, you're into it. So once you get there, I think you start rolling out. You just realize, like, hey, this is what you've been training for. You have your confidence in your abilities, and I think it helped a lot just being in front of people, and just knowing that you're there for a reason, and making sure that you just put your best foot forward and you show what you can do. I think I did pretty well. I left some things on the table, but I do think that the 2-minute drill we kind of ran at the end, where we had to get all our routes in, was very beneficial for me to show, my smoothness, how my hands are. But I've been throwing with James. We threw with James a couple times before, just trying to get the script down and making sure that we were prepared. So that was very helpful as well.
When you look at the tight end position in the league today, it's always, in many ways, it's always been what it is now, but it has changed. Gone are the days of the traditional 6'5", 6'6" wide tight end that's a blocker first, a receiver second. In this day and age with the spread, 11 personnel, 12 personnel offenses, tight ends are moving around a lot more now. You've got the you've got the move tight end. Alignment versatility is important. Talk a little bit about what you bring to the table in that regard, because you talked about this when you were in high school playing the X and moving around in formations then. That helped prepare you for your time at UNH. But at UNH, you took that part of the game to the next level.
Yeah, so I think we had a lot of great, tight ends at UNH before us, so they were always in the playbook, which was nice. And coming in as a freshman, you got to learn a lot. Tight end, you got to know the run game, you got to know the point pass game, you got to know coverages, you got to know all your route concepts, you got to know checks. So I think it was actually really beneficial to be able to sit back and just learn the offense and make sure I completely understand it as a whole, and then you can start reading what the defense is trying to do. Tight ends, you got to be versatile. You got to be able to put your hand in the ground and block, guys that are bigger than you at the DM position. And then you have to also be able to have your quickness to block guys at the second level. So I think it's definitely challenging, but it's a good challenge. And then when you run routes, you have to, win against guys that are quicker than you or faster than you. So you have to use your body and know how to control. And just as soon as you have the chance to make a play on the ball, you got to go get it.
And obviously you're now entering a situation where the goal is to play in the NFL. But if let's say that doesn't happen, would you consider playing in the UFL, the CFL arena?
Yeah. So, I mean, the next level is there's a lot more to grow, but there's a lot of guys that are able to make it to the NFL through other avenues. So I open any professional career. My mom always says, play a game as long as you can, and if you're making money, even better. So, I plan to try and play this game, as much as I can and as long as I can.
You are watching Field the Draft. I'm your host, John Sirenitas, and I'm joined by Kyle Lepkowski, tight end from UNH. Kyle, why do you love playing football?
I Football is just such a fun game. I think the team camaraderie is the biggest part for me. After a big win, going into the locker room and just being around all the guys, and just seeing the happiness it brings so many people. We got 100 guys on the team and everybody contributes. So I think it just shows like how hard work is able to pay off. Um, yeah. I just enjoy, the highs and lows as well. When after a loss, you got to pick up your guys, and you can't ever get too high or too low. You kind of have to stay constant. So I just love being around, good football players, good people. Just being able to, go to battle with those guys.
If I were to ask your teammates to tell me three things about you, what do you think they would say?
Level-headed, confident, and good hands. But
That's
no,
important.
I think that they would say that I come in, I do my work. I'm not very flashy guy. I try and make the catch. I try and get that first down, and try and get as many yards as I can. But you got to keep level-headed. Don't get too high or too low, like I said. But it's a game about swings, and if you can just stay level-headed throughout the whole thing, I think you're in a good position to win the game usually.
And what do you think your coaches would say? Do you think they would echo many of the same sentiments as your teammates?
I do. I think they would say I'm a lead by example guy. I don't say too much, but I think when I say stuff, I hope people listen. But I try not to talk too much. So when I do say something, people listen. But I think the biggest thing is just lead by example and be able to show like the younger guys what it is to like what you have to do to play here. Play at UNH and be able to try and have an opportunity to get to the next level.
Yeah, I mean the leadership is really leadership piece, I should say, is really an important piece, and I think that a lot of guys struggle with that. Do you view yourself as a leader? Do you see yourself as a guy that will let your teammates know what your expectations of them are, and will lead by example?
I do. There's different kind of ways to coach people up and be a leader to them. So I think that's important. So there's guys that you need to yell at, and get on, but there's also guys that you have to take aside and maybe not do it in front of everybody. Make sure they're doing all right. Life's a crazy thing. Like life as a student athlete's a crazy thing. So you have no idea. Being a kid from 9 hours away from Maryland, I got homesick my freshman year. So, if I know guys from far away, just ask, hey man, if you're missing home, give a FaceTime call or try and make sure you're still connected with your people back home. But, things do change and you get a new family. I got hundreds of friends up in New England that I know, I'll talk to for the rest of my life. So,
Have you thought about where potentially you would want to play in the NFL, or it doesn't matter? Whoever picks up the phone and calls you and either picks you or signs you, that's where you want to go. It doesn't matter where you ultimately end up.
No, doesn't matter. Any opportunity, I'd be completely greatly grateful for. I'm not I'm not in the position to be choosing, so I welcome anything.
And have you thought about life after football? Obviously, it's a question a lot of high school kids and college guys alike. When I ask it, they don't like it because they want to play as long as they can, obviously. But have you thought about, all right, after your career wraps up, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I haven't given it too much thought. Being back home, you kind of start a little bit, but all my friends back here have jobs, but you know, I'm I'm really trying to make it and to the next level. But if that doesn't happen, I have a degree that I was able to get at UNH for Homeland Security and Justice Studies, and I'm not too far from DC. So if that happens, if the opportunity arises, I would be able to get in contact with some people around here, and I'd be able to find something.
And obviously, Kyle, finding that balance off the field is important because we all love football. I mean, I do 6 or 8 of these shows a week, and I write and everything else. You lift, you run, you play the game. We all love football, but it is important to find that balance. How do you find that balance in life when you're not working out, you're not practicing, you're not playing? What do you like to do off the field?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find time during the season and when I'm up at school, but it is important because if you have a day off, you're kind of sitting around all day. You're kind of like, what? How do people do this all the time? But I definitely enjoy the rest time. Here, I fish a lot. Try and golf. I'm horrible at golf, but I'm trying to get better.
I know the
Um,
feeling.
but I go for runs. We have some nice trails near me, so usually I just go for a run, no headphones, just clear my mind. But play some video games. Not very good at those either, but try. So
Have you and the other UNH guys, have you guys had a chance to reflect on your careers together and how cool it is that so many of you are going to have this opportunity?
yeah, I think we talked about it a lot, especially after pro day, because you have a lot of work leading up to that, and then once everything is over, it's kind of like, now what? You got to wait again, but you got to stay training, you got to stay focused. But we were able to come together and just talk and just kind of think about how crazy it was going 3-8 to winning the CAA championship that we all knew we could do, but everything just came together. So I think we won a lot of close games that year, and this past year kind of left a bad taste in our mouth again. It sucks, but it is what it is. We got the roll of the dice 2 years ago. This year we didn't get so lucky. So I think it was a good career though. It was a lot of ups and downs, but I think it comes back to the being level headed and just being able to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask this question, but how cool is it seeing your teammate in Dylan Lobby getting the national recognition that he's getting? I mean, he's one hell of a football player, one of the best in New England in the last few years. What does that say about him? But what does it also say about UNH football? Because one of the things that drives me nuts, Kyle, is every time somebody talks about Dylan, it's he played at a small school, and that's stupid to me because covering New England football, I'm like, well, UNH is in a small school. Okay, so it's not Alabama, it's not USC, it's not Oklahoma, it's not Notre Dame, but I mean, it's Division I scholarship football.
Right.
It's the State University of New Hampshire. Like they make it sound like it's some little quaint Division III college in the middle of nowhere.
It's kind of funny you say that because when I first received the offer, I had to look up UNH too because I never heard of it.
Oh, so,
But
okay, so maybe
I
I'm
know.
wrong.
No, no, no. It's funny because I live down here and I know 4 people that go to UNH now, from my area. So not some are in athletics, some aren't. But I think it's kind of just, we talk about it at the beginning of the year is one of our goals is to be nationally recognized. Coming to a program in 2018 that had just like such a storied, history, Coach Mack and going to the playoffs 14 years in a row, it was tough seeing that streak end, but we wanted to start a new leaf, and we were hoping to get another streak started. But yeah, I think nationally, I think people are taking notice. I think growing our social media presence has helped, but we knew what player Dylan was. He should have been getting recognized a lot earlier. He could have gone a lot of places to the transfer portal, but I think that just shows you what kind of guy he is and what he wants to do and how he does things. He's just a good guy, and he's loyal. He's going to do what he has to do. He could have made it anywhere. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Any plans for draft weekend? Are you going to watch it? Or are you just going to do your thing and hope you get the phone call? What are you thinking for that weekend?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely watch it. I'm a fan of the NFL, so I always got to watch and just keep tabs on everybody, all the teams, and I just love watching football. So I'll be hoping for a call, but I'll be watching everything. So it'll be more of a chill, kind of thing. But I always enjoy watching anything the NFL puts on.
And final question here for you, Kyle. And again, I want to say thank you for taking the time, man. We really appreciate it. What is any team that drafts you or signs you? What are they getting you in a person and as a player?
What they'll get with me is someone that will show up every day, put their head down. Won't make a lot of noise, but will show up every day, do his job. Just be focused on what I have to do and what I have to learn. Because football, you got to learn a lot of things and comes at you fast. So just a level-headedness and someone who's confident in their ability. Playing at UNH, you kind of build up how confident you are when you play against the scout, when you're on scout team and you play against the older guys, and you kind of find a place to belong. So just someone who's going to keep grinding and just make sure his job is done at the end of the day.
Well, Kyle, I want to say thank you for taking the time, man. We greatly appreciate it. We wish you nothing but the best of luck, and we can't wait to see where you end up, man. And we'll write about it, we'll talk about it, and we'll be rooting for you, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, anytime, brother. That is Kyle Lepkowski, tight end from the University of New Hampshire. That'll do it for this episode of Field the Draft. For Kyle, I'm John Serenitas. Till next time, peace.